3, 2, bam, we're live. We did it.
All right. We
Where are
made
you
it.
at? What state are you in?
Florida, Pensacola, Florida.
Oh,
Also referred to
nice.
as Pensacola, Alabama.
Why?
They don't like to consider us Florida just because we're at, like, the northern tip. So everybody's like, "Man, you're so close to Alabama. It's considered Alabama there."
All right.
Yeah, but yeah, it's not too bad.
No, Florida sounds like a great place to be right now. I'm in
It
California, and,
is.
and all my friends who, we've had a mass migration out of the state. Uh,
Yeah.
we got we got uh we got serious issues here. It was
Oh my
interesting.
goodness.
I was listening to I got this guy coming on the show next week named Patrick Bet David. Have you heard of him?
I have not, no sir.
He's a businessman and a really forward thinker, like a really forward thinker, like one of those people who's like really introspective and like always trying. Like he was in a conversation with Joe Rogan. He was on the Joe Rogan show,
Oh
and I was
wow.
listening to
Okay.
that podcast. And he basically, I've never seen this happen. Well, I haven't listened to a lot of Joe Rogan, but he basically turned the whole interview around. The entire time, he's basically
Oh wow.
interviewing Joe Rogan, and and one of his things is to not confuse the symptom with the issue. So
Mm. Yeah,
so
yeah,
for
yeah.
example, they keep saying we have a homeless problem in the United States. We do not have a homeless problem in the United States. That is the symptom. The issue is we have a drug problem in the United States. How do I know
That's
this? Because
true.
I was homeless for 7 years, and there was only
Oh
me and
wow.
one other guy in the thousands of homeless people I ever met who wasn't a drug addict. They
Yeah.
think we have a
That's true.
corona.
Yeah.
They think people are dying from coronavirus in this country. That is not what's happening. That is the symptom. The issue
Yeah.
is that we're in a tsunami of chronic disease from people drinking 12 soda pops a day. It's the same thing
Killing
with
you.
age. They keep saying this thing kills old people. That is there's I had to see Mel Horta on here, the doctor, and he said there's not been
Mhm.
a single he even claimed it was old people dying from coronavirus. And I
Oh,
said,
wow.
is there science that shows that? And he goes, actually, there hasn't been a study. It's just a correlate. It's not a cause. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you're 80 years old, you've been drinking Coca-Cola for 40 years, you're fucked. You know what I
You'd
mean?
have
And
an
so
issue. Yeah, yeah.
we have this
Pretty
whole
underlying.
country of just looking at symptoms and trying to cure the symptoms.
Yeah.
It's like it's like having
That's
your
everyone
door
goes
open and
for.
the ocean water's coming in, and then you're just pumping the ocean water out. No, close the fucking door. That's the
Close it,
issue.
yeah.
It's just it's nuts.
Oh, man. Yeah, yeah,
It
we're
is
in a
nuts.
crazy, crazy time. That's what I'm realizing.
It is nuts.
It's
And the
overwhelming, so
racism thing is the exact same way. We know that we know the cause. We know the cause almost to a certainty that the strongest correlate for all inequality at this point where we are in the country is people not being raised by their mom and dad.
Oh, yeah.
Not skin color. Well, it's obviously not skin color. I mean, oh,
Yeah, that has nothing to
I'm
do
off.
with it. It's
Yeah,
all
I know.
yeah.
I'm off on a wrong foot with you. You are. Let me say this about you. You're an amazing human being, and
Well,
my
thank you.
belief, my knowledge of the world is that we're all mirrors here. There are no individuals here, and so that when someone like you does what you've done, the journey you've been on, you're telling the whole. You're just emanating good shit to the whole world.
Well,
You're
thank
you're
you. I
based.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
yeah. You're doing your part. That's like I'm fascinated by weight loss journeys, and I consider these people, and I know the terms used loosely these days, as heroes. And people will be like, no, why are they heroes? They should have never put on the weight in the first place. And I don't agree with that at all. It's
Yeah.
everyone's on their journey, and now we have a huge segment of this population, massive, where
A lot.
all their problems are being manifested in this weight gain, and you took full responsibility for it. That's another thing, right? You're
Yeah.
crossing the street and a car hits you, and you're screaming at the driver, and you
You were
hit me.
crossing the street.
You hit me, and I had the right of way. It's like, dude, like, it's your life. Even if you did have the right of way, even if the light was green, it's you just got hit by a fucking car and you're still blaming people. Like,
Take some yeah, yeah,
yeah.
take some ownership, yeah.
How did you learn personal responsibility?
For me, it was just one of those things where I had to make up my own mind. My entire life I had it crammed down of people, everyone else wanting me to lose weight. My mom and
Uh-huh.
dad, my parents, my grandparents, my friends. I remember my friends going to my mom and dad at like 21, 22, and be like, "Yo, he's gonna die. Like, you've got to like convince him to change his life." So it's kind of like a wake up moment,
At
between
21,
that.
people were saying that to you?
I remember going to a car show at 21 or 22 with some friends, and like my mom and dad was out of town, and they actually showed up at the event. And one of my friends like pulled my parents aside and was like, "Hey, like he's struggling to make it through this car show, just walking and standing. His back's hurting so bad. Like, is there like we got to talk to him? Like, and it's almost like they planned like they never did, thank goodness, but like." It's like they had literally planned like an intervention to try to help
Yeah.
me. Just but it's because they were concerned for me. That's all. You know, they were doing it out of love.
Yes.
But until you make up your own mind to make that change, it's useless. You don't have the driving force to actually complete it yourself. So you've got to want it for yourself, not others. So
When did you start getting heavy? When
I
did you?
was big from a as a little kid. I remember going to like dietitians at like 7 and 8 years old with pediatricians and things. But yeah, I started in very small. Like I noticed probably when I was like 6 that I was a lot bigger than everybody else. We started passing out these little baseball cards for individual like cards for our team that we were on at the time. And I remember passing around and everybody's weight was like 60, 70 pounds, and I was at a whopping 110. And I was like,
Wow.
you know, man, in my head, I'm like, shit, man, I can't pass this out. Like, no, I'll keep these, you know? So I remember finding one recently. It's like, man, it started way back then and just slowly progressed. I let it get out of control.
And why? You like at home you were drinking Capri Suns and Ritz crackers and like what was going on at home?
You know, no, man, I ate a lot of Southern fried food. Born and raised in Pensacola, it's very Southern, and my grandparents love to either cook or take us out to eat. That's what we did. And at the time, they just wanted me to be happy and let me live as a kid. And in all reality, me being happy and letting me live and eat all my fried foods and chicken tenders and burgers and burritos at night was killing me. And then after about, I'd say, I think I turned around 18, 19. I was already 300 pounds, 350. And then just kept going up from there. And then I think after my like highest weight total recorded at a doctor was 515.
And you, how do they do that? How do
Record
they,
your weight in the
how do you
doctor?
weigh someone at 515? Like, is there, I didn't even know there was a scale for that.
Yeah, they have specialized scales. They have scales in the doctors that go up to like 1,000. I bought one off Amazon when I first started that goes up to 750. Still got it. I actually was thinking about giving it away for like my 3 year anniversary and buying like one of
Oh,
the new like smaller scales.
yeah.
But yeah, so that was pretty fun. But yeah, I found a scale that measures 750. So
What about soda pop? What role did soda pop play? Were you a big soda drinker?
man, that's actually so funny you've asked me that. You're the first person to ask me like soda or drinking like all, and that was actually my biggest issue. That's why my stomach, in my opinion, like hung so low. Because man, I could put down some soda. I remember at one point, at my biggest point, I could go through 2 liters a day, just sitting down, just like boom, 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 just poison. And
And what
sweet
and
tea.
what Mountain Dew?
Oh, Mountain Dew, Dr. Pepper,
Uh-huh.
and sweet tea. Those were my two. I'd say my three go tos. So
And so you'd have these massive insulin spikes, and then you would need more food to
oh
address the
yeah,
insulin. So you drink it.
yep.
You drink. Yeah, it's crazy. The I I suspect that soda is like at the center of it's the gasoline on the fire. You know, like I hear
Oh
statistics like
yeah,
55% of the calories in Mexico are consumed from soda pop. And
that is
I think it's
insane.
something massive in the United States too. And
Oh yeah.
so uh another thing that I'm tripping on, and I don't go there anymore since they went woke, but I used to go to
Yeah.
Starbucks a lot. Since they turned
Okay.
into basically a racist, sexist company, I avoid them. But they those I would go in there. And I live in a beach town. Also, I live in Santa
Mhm.
Cruz, California,
Oh my
and
goodness. Yeah.
I'll go into the Starbucks, and I would be there like at 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, and I would see just like a line of, I don't know, in my head right now, I just see this line of like 30 obese women, and they're all getting Trenta and Venti things with sugar just squeezed onto them.
Oh man.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, what a way to start your morning. Like for me, like when I would drink those, they'd be like one every 6 months, and it would be nuts.
Yeah. You'd be
But
wired.
I'd be like, man, these women start their morning with just a big old dose of gasoline on the fire, on the insulin fire.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, and it's so true. Like I was looking, my girlfriend at the time, she could put down some Starbucks, and they are just insane in Cal. I had no idea. Thank goodness I never had an issue with it. I wasn't a big coffee drinker.
Yeah.
But I tell you one thing, I did go and man, I would just pile in the sugar. In fact, I remember the Starbucks person being kind of shocked, like, damn, he's gonna have diabetic coma in the drive-through. But I ended up, man, we got the Trenta. It was like a passion tea lemonade or whatever. It's the massive
Yeah.
like lemonade
Yeah.
thing they make, but it tastes awful if you get it the way they make it. So you got to get it with like tons and tons of sugar. So man, I was getting like 4 extra pumps of sugar on that thing. It was enough to like kill like 3 people probably. But
Yeah.
I don't even want to know. I don't want to know the calories or sugars that was in that drink. So
Are there
yeah.
when did you have you ended up having bariatric surgery? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. I had vertical sleeve gastrectomy or bariatric surgery in April of 2019. So I'm sneaking up on 3 years total.
And April 19th. So they don't actually do they actually remove a piece of your intestine or anything like that?
So not the intestine. That's part of the gastric bypass. They
Okay.
cut your stomach and reroute it to your small intestine and then reroute it. For the sleeve, they basically take your stomach. Here's your actual portion of your stomach, and they cut out like 80% of it, and they make like a little pouch and just reattach. So
So it's
basically
your
helping you control your food control and portion size.
so they cut out 80% of your stomach.
Hmm. Yeah.
Is that so there was a lady many years ago I interviewed, and she had lost 150 pounds, and she had done the one where they cut out part of her intestine. And in
Hmm.
hindsight, she wished she hadn't have done it, because what she
Hmm.
didn't take into calculation was the fact that that part of her intestine, I believe, I don't want to say this wrong, and feel free to unfuck me if I'm way off. That part of her intestine absorbed was where a certain vitamin was absorbed, or vitamins. And since
Oh
she
yeah.
lost that part of her intestine, she had to supplement that vitamin for the rest of her life. Is there
Mhm.
anything where you have to do that?
So that's a great question. You are supposed to supplement your vitamins. Thank goodness. Now I may get some feedback from this from people as I say this,
Sure.
but I personally didn't dive into the vitamins at all as much as people did. And in reality, I'm losing my hair because of it. I didn't take the biotin and collagen that I needed to, and so I'm losing my hair. And now I take it religiously every morning and every night. And even in my protein shakes, I take the biotin. But it is true when you go through the bariatric surgery route and you do the RNY or gastric bypass, you do suffer with being able to take vitamins in through your food, through your drinks, all that. That's why it's so easy to get malnourished as well after surgery. It happened to me. I got
No
extremely
shit.
dehydrated. Oh yeah, I got dehydrated and malnourished like after surgery and had to go get like IVs and stuff. So because the thing is and you kind of like think of it like a clock. If you have to take a sip like when you first come out of surgery like every 15 minutes or 30 minutes and you get behind, well normally for us we can just take an extra gulp, but
Yep.
if you start getting behind and you miss and you miss and you miss, then like you can't catch that time back up. So now you're like, oh well, I'm 25% dehydrated today, and you keep trying and you just finally after like a week or so of struggling to get your water intake, you're like, okay, I feel like shit, I'm dehydrated. And
Did
sure
you,
enough I had to go get it
has
dehydrated.
that
Or
stopped? Has that stopped, or do you still have to consume water? You still have to be conscious of that.
it has, yeah. It stopped now because I chug water now. I'll be at the gym and just knocking it out left and right. I try to aim for a gallon to a gallon and a half a day now. So
Did you go to the gym before you had the surgery?
I tried. That's one of the questions I love asking, or I don't want to say questions. I get a lot of response from people like, well, why didn't you try working out beforehand? I did.
Yeah.
There's a lot of first of all, if you can show me a treadmill at Planet Fitness or a gym in anywhere that can let a 500-pound person jog on it, I'll kiss your ass. Because I did it.
Right.
I tried, and I'll be honest with you. At 500 pounds, I remember getting so frustrated and like getting just blood faced embarrassed because like as I'm walking, I'm not even jogging. I'm walking. The treadmill underneath me is getting stuck at 500 pounds. Like the
Wow.
part that slides, like no shit. So whenever it's like, oh man, you ever worked out? Yeah, I did multiple times.
By
It
the
don't
way,
work. So
I wasn't going with that angle. My angle wasn't hey, why the fuck didn't you work out? My angle was,
right,
I'm
right, right.
curious how you built the habit. So I'm assuming this is where I'm going with this whole thing kind of here in the
Hmm.
beginning. You have this bariatric surgery. but you have on at let's say it's April of 2019.
Yeah.
And on this side, you have all these habits.
Mm-hmm.
But on this side, you're going to need different habits, right? We
Oh,
already
yeah.
talked about one of them, consume water.
Oh, yeah.
More
A
water,
lot of
right?
it.
But by the way, going back to the vitamin thing real quick. You have amazing skin. It's
Thank you. I
It's
appreciate
interesting to see that you don't look like someone who's vitamin. Do you know what I mean? I mean, like you would think
Yeah.
you would see it in your skin. Your skin is like smooth,
I
like snow.
meticulously put lotion on every day on my
Yeah.
hands and face. I'm very weird about that. Like I like doing my beard and stuff. So I'm very big on lotions and trying to take care of my skin. I just, man, I guess I missed the ball when it comes to taking. Like I didn't take any of my vitamins. Well, I tried though. I got sick, and like my boss can attest for this. Like the first 3 months after surgery, man, I was sick as a dog because I could look at food, I could think about food, I could take a sip of something like even the texture or like was this too thick or like not thick enough instantly. I'd be sick as a dog. So after a while, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this my way. I'm not gonna take these vitamins. And then after about 3 months, man, I was good. I was solid. Wasn't having any more issues. Like so stuck with it. And yeah, but you're absolutely right. No, if I'd have maintained the habits prior from April to now, I would never be here. I would be dead. So.
What are has soda come? Do you ever drink soda?
Very, very rarely. If I do, it's like on like a cheat. I want to. I don't want to say cheat day because I hate that word. But like if I'm having like a fun day out with friends and everybody's out and about and we're at dinner and something, sure I'll have like a soda every now and then. But like right now, no. I'm in a cut until June, so it's all water or like sugar free stuff for me right now.
Do you feel like if I do you ever feel guilty for that stuff or shame yourself? Like you're like and leverage that part of your ego to make sure you stay on the straight and narrow. Like it's 10 o'clock at night. I haven't worked out yet. And fuck you. You're gonna go out and walk a fucking mile.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And
No,
kind of leverage and just keep yourself, because some people say it's not good to feel guilty or shame yourself. But for me, I leverage the shit out of that.
I was talking to my girlfriend about this yesterday, because yesterday I was just having kind of like an off day. Like I said, I'm in a meal prep. I'm focused on counting macros and stuff and trying to be ready for a bodybuilding show in June. And
So what? Seriously?
oh yeah. So
Good on you. Holy shit, that's amazing.
yeah, I have my first transformation bodybuilding show in June. So yeah, we were just trying to talk about that, and like I had to go to the store and prep and do all this food prep and trying to cook meat and stuff, and so that's been a little more difficult. But we were just talking about like sodas and like how like I was we were talking about tacos, street tacos, and like I love Mexican food, man. I can destroy some Mexican food.
Me
So it's
too.
like, man, I'd love just to like have a day of tacos and like going to the market and walking around enjoying the sunlight and going by the water and things. And I realized, and I was telling her, I was like, I wish I could take that mindset away of like treating food as being bad sometimes. And because food isn't bad. It's the way that we treat it is bad. We treat it as a crutch. We treat it as a way to get through our mental and I'll say it, like fucked up lives.
Yep.
That's what I did. I used it as a crutch to realize that I was so broken, depressed, and everything all through life, and I never even knew it. I had no idea, and so I would run to it and use it as my security blanket. Which is weird, using a burger as a security blanket, but hell, it worked for me, I guess. I say it worked, but here I ended up blowing up. But yeah, staring at food and treating it as like a reward system, or treating it as it's bad, and has been something that I've struggled with, especially coming from surgery, because I've spent my life looking at food as like, oh man, I can't have soda, it's gonna be bad, or like, oh man, I know I don't need this, like I'm 500 pounds, like do I really need another large fry?
So you couldn't even enjoy the food, even though you were 500 pounds. You can't even enjoy the food because you're it's too much guilt, too much shame. Every time you eat it, you're having this fucking whole conversation.
You would overcome that very quick, and that's why, like in my mindset at 500 pounds, I'd be like, you know what, I'm never gonna make a change. I can't change. It's too late. I've already reached that breaking point. Let's eat another burger.
Right.
And that's
Or a
depression.
pizza. Let's eat a whole
Yeah,
pizza.
pizza, tacos. Yeah. Oh man. the amount of food, my dad was joking the other day. He was like, "You know, I knew that you had a problem when we went through the drive-through." And I was like 22 at the time, and we spent like $55 on food for me and her alone. And I was like, "That is." My dad pulled me aside. And he's like, What are you doing? Like, you're not eating all that." And I was like, "Well, no, I am." And he's like, "And that's why you are the size you are." You know. So, yeah, it's just some things like that where it's like I should have. I There's wake up calls. There was wake up calls all along. I should have realized, and I'm mad that I didn't pick up on them sooner. But yeah, that. There was a few of them like that with my dad, where it's like, man, I should have read the signs right there. Like something, any normal person would have been like, oh, like you just spent $55 in a drive-through line. Like
Yeah.
lights should be turning on right now, you know. But no,
I
I
remember
was still
being
asleep.
I remember being a kid and we would go to McDonald's and I would get a 20-piece chicken McNuggets, a milkshake, and a fries. I would never let my 7-year-old kid do that. And I would get 4 of the mustard hot sauce one, you know,
Mm-hmm. Oh
and I
yeah.
would be determined to eat all 4 of the hot sauces with all 20 McNuggets. Like, so every 5 McNuggets, I guess that's where
You
I
had a new
became so
sauce.
good at math. I would, yeah, I would make sure that, okay, every 5 McNuggets got to eat a whole thing of sauce. And I'd be scraping the inside and then it's nuts. Can
I
you imagine?
relate to that.
You can't feed a 12-year-old or a 7-year-old a 20-piece chicken McNugget. That's like,
No. And
I
not
wouldn't
that
even get
I
my
don't.
kid a milk. I would never even get my kid a milkshake now. Like, unless it was, like his birthday or some shit.
Yeah. It for me, it was something I look back on it and I realized like, yes, it was me making choices, but it started young. Like I remember leaving middle school or I say middle school, I think it was more like kindergarten, like the first few years of like, first grade, second grade. My grandmother picked me up from school and man, like the lunches that we had back then were very, very, very small. And I'll admit that even to like a normal sized kid, like they were small. Like we got 2 nuggets and that was it. Like
Yeah, yeah.
and so like I remember leaving and it was like a noon checkout. That's when we'd always leave back then because it was early. So they didn't feed as much. So it was time for lunch. Well, my grandmother, she's a sweet old southern lady. Oh baby, let me feed you, you know? So
Yeah,
what will we do? Drive through every day.
yeah.
Oh, you want your own personal pizza from Pizza Hut? Oh baby, of course I got like pat on the back, let's do it. So the enablement was there. And so I ran with it. And I enabled myself along with them to blow up at a young age, and then after that, just kept on going. So
Yeah, it's interesting. You can blame your parents in the world all you want, and
yeah,
you could be 100% right.
they
But
didn't open my
but you
mouth for
die
me.
there with that.
Oh yeah, oh
You don't. At some point, I think for me that's like an adult when you finally take 100% accountability and personal responsibility for everything. That girl broke up with me because of I'm responsible. My feelings were
oh
hurt
yeah,
here. That car crashed into me. It was still my fault. I bought a car. I decided to drive. You just
oh
start
yeah,
like everything, and you just have to own everything and start working on it. Like,
exactly. The moment you start owning up to your own faults and your own mistakes, and you realize that yes, those people may have played a part, you are the ultimate deciding factor in getting
yeah, now it's all
over,
yours.
or it's all yours. Yeah. So
It's all yours. Are you a pretty forgiving person?
um, I am. Yeah, I would say I am. For the most part, screw me once, it happens. Screw me twice, I'm an idiot. Screw me 3 times, we're out of there. I'm not giving you any more chances. But for
Yeah.
the most part, I'm forgetful. I like I want to be forgiven as much as possible. So, and
Yeah.
I know I make mistakes. So, I'm very quick to forgive others. So I'm not perfect by any means, but
My thought on the subject is and I've told this story a bunch of times, but basically the guy, I front him a bunch of weed. He sells it. He owes me $4,000. He tells me he's got the money. I don't go pick it up at his house because he lives a couple 100 miles away for like 4 years or not 4 months. I go down there and he's like, I go to his house and he's moved into a new house. I'm like, hey, I'm here to pick up my money. He's like, oh, dude, I spent your money. I'm like, on what? And he goes, I moved into this new house. I had to pay first, middle, and deposit. I'm like, okay, and he never pays me back, but I'm not throwing the friendship away over it. No fucking
yeah,
way. It's on him now.
it is. Yeah,
I don't front you weed anymore. Well, I don't even sell weed anymore, but this is 30 years ago. But
yeah,
but I just can't I just can't.
Yeah.
I just reached a level of maturity. It's just like, like you
Balls
kind of
in your
like you were
court.
saying.
Yeah.
At some point, it's like shame on me. Like, okay, I get it, I get it.
Yeah.
And now that
Shame on
guy
me. Yeah.
knows he owes me money. Why should I carry around that I'm mad at him? He's the one who's tripping that he owes me money.
He should be carrying that on him. That like
Yeah, we're
his
cool. I
own
like
self.
going over to
Like,
his house and
yeah.
making him feel
Yeah.
awkward. Hey, you got my money? You know,
But
I
hey,
can just go into his fridge and eat a steak now, and he can't say shit.
going through his pantry, like, give me your fruit snacks. I'll take those. Those are going on with me.
Um, how old were you in 2019 when you had the surgery?
I was 25. Yeah.
So can you tell me about this? How surgery pops on your radar,
Yeah.
and the not only the formal process that they make you go through to get
Mhm.
surgery, but the mental hoops you go through, what your friends tell you, all that shit, and the decision
Yeah.
making.
So I'll start kind of like before, like when I like kind of what made me realize and say, okay, this is it. So I had thought about surgery for a while. After like you get so big, you realize that there's not many options left. In all reality, like, and that's why I don't want to say I get defensive, but I am a little defensive when everybody's like, well, you could have worked out. I tried, I did. I tried the doctors and I tried the programs and all that, and nothing ever worked for me. So I'm talking to my primary care one day, and I was like, is surgery an option? And my primary was very always forward, and he's like, oh, this is baby fat, you'll lose it, but if it's something later on, that we're gaining weight, then yeah, we can talk about it. So a year or two goes on, and I'm in New Orleans with my ex-wife at the time,
That
and
shit concerns me, by the way, with when doctors who don't, like, most doctors don't know shit, unfortunately, about nutrition, and the vast majority. Okay,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just baby fat. He should have been like, "Hey, motherfucker, fat people's immune system is compromised, and if you're obese, you're gonna die prematurely, 100%." That's one of the
yeah,
few things that we
it,
do know. One of the
yeah,
few.
it's true. If
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
like,
big, man, it's I like to refer to it as like an underlying issue, but it's overlying at that point.
yeah. It's crazy. It's
But
crazy that he tells you that. But go on. Sorry. Go
yeah,
on.
no, you're fine, you're fine. Oh my goodness. So yeah, we're in New Orleans, and man, I'm realizing I'm so tired walking from like restaurant to restaurant or like attraction to attraction. And I made it to two, and I was like, okay, I can't do this, babe. I gotta order Uber. So I break out Uber, and I'm ordering Uber, and 2 days goes by. And I'm checking my statement. I spent like 180 something dollars. There's like $188 on Ubers in that 2.5 day period in New Orleans.
Walking around
Um,
instead of places that
instead
you
of
could have
yeah,
walked.
place I could have walked. And the Uber driver is kind of one of the things that was just like, it was one of those things where the light bulb turned on and was like, hey, wake up. But the Uber driver's like got mad at me because I don't know if you're familiar with Bourbon Street and how everybody like starts to walk on it at night and it fills up and traffic and things like that. Well, me ordering an Uber and them coming on Bourbon Street's a nightmare, and our hotel was like right there on Bourbon Street. And so I called the Uber, and literally we were going like 0.01 miles away. Like, I mean, I
Wow.
in all reality, man, I probably could have walked there. It was less than like on Bourbon Street with traffic with people, it was less than 10 minutes away. Like it was 0.01 miles away. So I get in the thing and the Uber driver, like, I don't know if back then it was where it wouldn't tell the person where they were going until they accepted the ride and we got in the car. So she accepts the ride, and then I'll never forget it. She's like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me!" And like mumbled under her breath, and I looked at my wife, and I was like, kind of in shock. And she's like, "Are we really going 0.01? Y'all couldn't have just walked?" And I remember looking down, and I was kind of rude, but I was like, "No, I'm." At the time, I was like, "No, I'm a fat ass. I'm not walking up point zero
You
one. I
you
can't do
did
that."
say
Like,
that? You did say that?
oh yeah, oh I did,
Oh,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Get
I
her.
I
I
was
like
my
it.
own worst critic back then.
Yeah.
I man,
Wow.
I realized early, like if I could beat people to the punch and say that, like,
Uh
that was just my security blanket. So man, when she hit me with that, I was like who the hell is this Uber driver? But at the same time, that Uber driver was potentially somebody that saved my life, because it slowly got me thinking, like, man, my Uber driver, Dalton, in a whole nother state just called you out on your weight. Like, wake up, bro. If
I'm
if
gonna say
if
something
you're
really harsh here.
oh yeah, please do.
That is the collapse of civilization. It's not the coronavirus. It's not the woke fucks. It's not the Ukrainian war. It's the fact that America is so obese that we're crushing the fucking system, having to cope with it. It's 86. I've said it a million times. 86% of all health expenditure goes towards chronic disease that's caused from poor diet, poor lifestyle choices, and the doctors don't have the cure.
No.
The cure's in your hand right now. Drinking water, taking personal responsibility.
Yeah.
One person coming on podcast, sharing your journey. It's nuts. It is fucking nuts. This like it is
frustrate you.
truly it's crushing where this country is dying because of obesity. It's dying under chronic disease. It's nuts. And that Uber driver, that moment you had is kind of like the summation of the big picture.
Yeah.
Hey, was the Uber driver fat?
No. They were just like, they were a smaller person. So it was a combination of that. And then one day I'd come to my grandparents' house, like to pick up my mail and do some things. And back then because I was so big, I struggled with sleep apnea and falling asleep and like also at the same time, like I would fall asleep in the most random places. I mean, I literally at one point was about to have to stop driving because I was like, I'd be driving, just boom, instantly fall asleep.
That's hormones just from sugar in your bloodstream.
I don't know what I think. Well, I had sleep apnea diagnosed really bad, and I found out through this video. There's a video that my grandmother filmed me on her little iPhone. It's so bad the quality, bless her heart. She was trying, but she was filming me, and I had fell asleep after work just with like my mail in my arms and everything, just like on the couch. And you can watch me like it's 3 minutes of just like me gasping. Like I don't mean just like a snore, I mean like a like gasping for air. And she's like, "Baby, like you're not breathing while you're sleeping." And showed me the video, and I was like, "Yeah, whatever." You know.
Could you sleep laying down when you were 5'15"? Or the other people I've spoke to say you reach a certain rate where you have to sleep in chairs because if you sleep down, you suffocate.
Well, I was close, yeah. And that's what I found out. I was on average stop breathing over 140 times per hour after 2 sleep tests, or I'm sorry, a sleep test and a half, technically.
That's more than twice a minute.
Yeah. So yeah, it was one of the highest cases they've ever seen. It was so bad that in Pensacola, my doctor, so they normally do 2 sleep tests. They do one where you go through for 8 hours on your like sleeping on your own, and they monitor like all of your system, basically just make sure you're not waking up and all that. And then the next week or the week after, they bring the doctor in, they put you on a sleep apnea machine, or CPAP, excuse me, and then have you test it out. Well, mine, I didn't even make it to the second test, man. I fell asleep by 10, and by like 12:31, they'd already brought a doctor in on site and made me like wake up, hook me up to the machine. They're like, "We're not letting you leave home without a machine, or we're not letting you leave here without a machine in the morning." So,
oh man,
yeah, they made me fall asleep from like 1 to 6, woke me back up at 6, waited like 2 or 3 hours to like rush the like shit through with my insurance and like trying to find out what they would cover like on a rush like this, because the doctor's like, "Yeah, you're like, it's bad. Like you should have been dead years ago. We don't understand, your oxygen levels drop out way too low. Like everything's way too low. You shouldn't be here with us." And that was
is that gone? Is your sleep apnea gone?
It is for the most part. I don't use a CPAP anymore.
Oh, you must be so stoked.
So.
You must be so stoked to kick that machine to the curb.
Oh yeah, man. I looked like a jet pilot when I was going to sleep. I looked like I was getting in a Boeing 747 ready to take off.
Yeah.
Mouthpiece and everything on. But I will say, the first night I ever slept with a CPAP, they're like, "Oh, it's so annoying. You're gonna hate it." I loved it. And the only reason I loved it was because I slept. Man, I hadn't been sleeping in years, and I didn't realize that. I got my first night's sleep, and it was so funny because like 3 days later, all this energy at 500 pounds just came rushing back, and I'm like, "Okay, I can do this." I feel alive. Like, and so I started like working a little more at work. Like, I started pulling more overtime and like making a little more money because I was like, "Well, damn, like I have more energy. I feel like I can move." And then, um, and the reason why it took a long time is I was fighting my thyroid. My thyroid levels were extremely high, and I was trying to get them under I'm gonna probably butcher the word. I think it's TSH levels, if I remember correctly.
You mentioned that in your in your Instagram, and you said you've been you said this is it. This is oh no, here it is. Let me see. Is that what these are? Let me show you.
It may have been the number. Yeah.
Let me show you this real quick. This right here. These are, because I couldn't figure out what these numbers are.
Yes, that is it. Yeah. TSH. So that was my original test from my doctor. Man, I had been waiting on that fucking test for a year, and I get so emotional over that test because that was a picture that changed everything. That was my announcement to the world, like, hey, I am having surgery. I just got all my life. This is the last step that I made it through. This is it. We're doing it. And so
tell me about these numbers. Why? What about these numbers did you need to have the test?
So, and let me get really close to the screen because I remember. Yeah. So it went under, if you look on the bottom right where it says 0.5 or 5.60, that is the top of the threshold for insurance to approve you for surgery.
Oh.
Yeah. So if I didn't get under that 5.6, I would not have been able to have surgery.
And what does that number represent?
Oh, that is something to do with your thyroid level. Other than that, it's way above my head.
And is that something you had to change your diet to a point where they were like, okay, you can have the surgery?
I did. Yes, sir. Yeah. I had to show them for 6 months that I could lose weight, or lose as much weight as possible. But in that time frame of 6 months, like that's why mine took even longer. And I went back up to 500 pounds. Is after 6 months of doing the dieting and everything, I wasn't approved for surgery because of my thyroid and everything like that. My CPAP, all that had to go through. Well, I fought my thyroid for another like 8 months trying to get it to where it would fall under the threshold of 5.6. And as soon as it went to that 5.6, I'll never forget it. It was I want to say it was a Thursday afternoon. The lady at Dr. Gattenpan's office called me, and she goes, "Hey, good news, your thyroid level's under the 5.6. I'm going to go ahead and submit today for insurance. We're submitting." And she was like, it'll probably be like, 2 to 3 weeks before we hear anything back. And I'm thinking to myself, well, damn, here we go. Another month or two and then we'll take another 3 or 4 months to schedule it. Man, I kid you not. It was a Thursday. The very next morning, I got a phone call. And she was like, hey, your insurance signed off on it immediately. Can you be here in a week to have surgery? And I was like,
damn.
No, I can't.
Why? Because you were scared or because of work?
I was scared. And then
I'd be
also,
scared too.
Man, like you're supposed to do 2 weeks. Just for me, I was scared of the whole, because I mean, it is a big deal, anytime
dude, it's
going
huge.
under and
it's huge.
So,
it's huge.
But yeah, so I ended up going under and getting it done. And, I was terrified, but it was the best decision I've ever made. Hands down, saved my life.
So basically the problem got so bad that you thought that anytime you were to address it, you were more in the mindset of like, I've gone too far. I can't do it.
Oh yeah. No, 1,000%.
So does the surgery actually work, or is it so you I'll use this example. You buy a new pair of running shoes, and the running shoes really don't help you run, but you're like, fuck, I spent $150 on these. I better start running at least 2 miles a day for a month so that I can justify that purchase. Which one more? Is it, or is it a combination? Do you know what I mean? Like, shit, I got the surgery now. The pressure's really, or like you buy a drone for $1,500. You're like, dude, and then after a week you're done flying it. You're like, dude, I still got to fly it every day for 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So Carol's, that's a waste of money.
No, you're absolutely right. The difference with surgery is if it protects you from going back. And that's why a lot of people do refer to it as cheating. And the reason
that's crazy to call it cheating, by the way. That's fucking bad thinking. I'm not saying I'm not saying I like the surgery idea, but it is to call it cheating is fucking idiocy.
The fact that someone is willing to, they've reached and this is kind of my thing, and the fact that when someone is so broken on themselves that they are willing to go and be put to sleep and have their physical stomach cut out to change their life, I could never consider that cheating ever. And so that's, I'm like, all right. And when anyone says that, I just laugh at this point. I'm like, I could shut them down in 2 seconds, and it's like, yeah, all right. But
okay, but look, but what are the reason why I don't get it is what are the rules? I'm overweight and I'm dying and I want to save myself. I'm sorry, what were the rules for that? Tell
Exactly.
me that again.
Like, I didn't know we were playing a game. I didn't know that
Yes.
there was rules that we had to
Yeah.
follow.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not competing. Like, and that's one of the biggest things I tell people that message me every day. It's like, you're not competing against me. You're not competing against Jill, Jam, Joey, or Susan or Karen. You're competing against yourself. It's you versus you. Like, I'm go for it. Like, come
Yes.
on. But so
Would you recommend that? Who would you recommend the surgery for, and who would you not? Is
any
there anyone you would not recommend it for?
Yeah, well, surgery has different things. So you don't just get surgery some days just because you're big. Like, I have a lot of friends that have gotten surgery due for underlying issues oh goodness, I can't think of I want to say it starts like PCOS is some of them for like women, and other things like that, that have literally like they have to get surgery because the other is gastro like issues like with oh my
Just
goodness,
digestion.
yeah, like digestion and things like that. Sometimes this is an alternative for that, is the bypass or the sleep. So it's not always weight loss related. I know a lot of people, everybody automatically assumes like bariatric surgery to weight loss surgery, but sometimes there's underlying issues that causes it. But for the most part, if anyone's like, well, would you ever recommend this to anyone? Absolutely, 100%, without a doubt. There's not a time or thought in my mind where I would never say no, surgery isn't for you. Do I ever advise people why I got surgery and why I thought it was better for me than other, alternatives? Yes. Because, surgery may not be for everybody. They may not want to, A, they may not have insurance. B, they may not have the financial ability to do it. C, they may not have
What if they
the
just don't need to? Do you have any friends who are overweight and they're thinking about it, but you're kind of in your mind like, I wish you would just not do the surgery and just do what the rest of what I'm doing right now. I'd like to take this guy on as a project.
you know
Do you ever have that feeling?
in my head, yes, but it's such a hard feeling because and I try to shut it down instantly because in the same time I think would the same people have said the same thing about me at 500 pounds.
Right.
um
Right.
and so it's like a double-edged sword. Like, if I start thinking that way for others, then like, why couldn't I have done it at 500? So I think that people put this mental, like, almost like blinders on, and they start to like, I can't do it, I won't. And then when they start saying I can't lose weight, then they're really programming their brain to say I won't lose weight. And after that, it's just this downward spiral. The reason why surgery is so successful and works is it has those security risks that keeps you from doing it, is the way I like to say it. So, if I ate too much sugar, guess who's going to the bathroom real quick? Me. If I overate, I'm going to be throwing up. If I drink too quick, it's going to feel like
Has that
someone
happened to
stabbed
you?
me.
Have you eaten too much and thrown up?
Oh yeah. It's called, in the weight loss community, in the bariatric community, it's called dumping syndrome. And basically, when you eat either too fast, like at the beginning, foods that are just too enriched in sugars or anything like that, man, it literally feels like someone is like taking a 14-inch knife and just stabbing you over and over in the stomach, and it feels like it's going to come out both ends, and you're miserable.
And you
And
don't
so
do it again.
you try to refrain that, and you know what? It happens. You eventually, 2 months down the road, you're gonna be like, oh, I can eat a piece of pie or something that's not going to kill me. Nope, you're gonna be sitting on the toilet for 2 hours. So,
You
so it has that.
you made this post, and it says, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. Henry Ford. And
Yep.
there's this Taoist saying that says, argue your limitations and they're yours. Meaning if you say you can't, then you can't.
Right.
You had to face that in a way, right?
I
Because
did.
you had reached a point where you said, I can't, and I need help.
Exactly.
How do those, but yet you have to take full responsibility. There's kind of like this, it's like a paradox, right? You have to take full responsibility, and
It
yet
is.
you're
Yeah.
leaning on this really traumatic, intense surgery.
Yeah. It's something that you realize, like, that you're leaning on the surgery, but you realize that, like, it's now your tool. and it's only going to work for you. And
Mm.
and I'll be honest with you, the example that you use with the running shoes, I want to steal that and take that, because that was great. No matter how many pairs of running shoes you buy, they're not going to do the work for you. You got to still
Right.
put in the work. You
You got
know,
to
you
leverage
can
like
buy
your ego and be like, well, I bought them. I
yeah.
better like not be a dipshit and use them.
Yeah, no. And at that point, it's, if you plan on using your shoes, then they're going to work. But if you're just going to let them sit there on your counter and get dusty, I got news for you. It doesn't matter if you buy 10 more pair; they're still going to get as dusty as the other pair.
You
You're
should have
not going
just
to
gone
use
out
them
and bought
until you make
20
up that
Big
mindset.
Macs for the same price.
You'd probably be
Right.
happier. No shit, seriously. So yeah, man, it's exactly that. It's, you use your tool, and that's why I become such an advocate for, like people looking down on it. I shut that shit down, because at this point, it's like, what is there to look down on? Um, there's nothing, like, and I was talking to a friend of mine. They just had surgery, and they're like, I don't want to really tell my friends. I don't want to tell my family. I don't want to tell anyone. I just, how do you tell everybody? And I didn't have that issue. For me, I realized at an early point that there was very few and far between for males who would come out and talk about like surgery, and just give the transparent, no shit, no filter, let me throw it all out there, ride and roller coaster of a journey. And I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's do it. So I literally laying in bed, I had my ex-wife, was like, hey, take a photo of me right here. And I'm just going to say that this is day one. And I'll never forget it, posting it, man. I didn't even know what hashtags like to even look for back then, like to post on social media for this photo. I was like, let's do it. So I remember like Googling as I'm laying in post-op, like Googling like what hashtag should I use for this photo? I'm gonna try it. Like what? So I put like the basic, and that was day one. April, yeah, April 8th, 2019. I'll never forget it. So
How has can you tell a difference in your thinking now that you are more nutritionally sound? They talk about brain fog. They talk about, so basically from where I stand in my ivory tower, in my fucking blessed and in perfect life, I see just a world of people acting from fear,
mhm.
right? Because they're 100
Oh
pounds
yeah,
overweight and they start every morning with the triple frappuccino, and they're basically walking out on a high wire every morning. And if the wind blows, they're scared. That's why they're scared of COVID. They can't
oh
even
yeah,
do the math. They can't even be like, hey, there's no chance of me dying from this if I stop eating added sugar and refined carbohydrates. Zero. There's
yeah,
more. 12,000
exactly.
people die. If you're obese or you're elderly, you should really be afraid of stairs. 12,000 people die falling down the stairs every day. Now,
Yeah,
if um uh um if you were to fall down, if Dalton were to fall down the stairs today, he would get way less injury. You probably would have died if you would fall down a flight of stairs 4 years ago.
I would have died. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, I would have died.
And now you can fall
It's
down a flight of stairs. That's the same thing with COVID. If you get it now, no big deal. If you'd have got it 4 years ago, you're fucked.
I'll be honest with you, and on the whole COVID thing, especially with weight, I 1,000% agree with you when it comes to the underlying issue with COVID and like weight loss being or I'm sorry, being overweight having such an impact on COVID patients. Like I can tell you
It's
firsthand
massive.
that I've more friends of mine that were my size have passed, like prior, have passed away in the past year due to like they get COVID as they're a larger person and they passed away. And it's like,
Dude, the
it's the
CDC,
underlying issues, you know?
the CDC, I haven't looked in the last year, but in the first year, it said 94% of the people had 4 or more comorbidities, and 6%, and then in small says there's no data on.
Yeah,
No data on.
that's wild.
I want to show you this. A
Yeah.
lot of people got upset at me for posting this the other day. And so, you know how there's these, with the before I go here, with the BLM thing and all that stuff,
Hmm.
some black people have stood up and been like, yo, motherfuckers, like we are not different. And I don't want anyone looking at me and judging me for my skin color. And I don't want things for my skin color. And then there's this whole other contingent. And that's really brave of those black people. They don't think that
Uh,
racism should be fought with racism. And they're standing up and they're like, and I was thinking, I
yeah.
wish the obese community would stand up and say that too. I wish someone in the obese community would say, hey, assholes, we're terrified of dying because of what we've done to ourselves. Like we need to take responsibility. But look at I look at this. I posted this on my Instagram the other day, and it upset a bunch of people. They thought it was insensitive, insensitive is just PC for it's just idiot talk. But healthy teenager who took precautions died suddenly of COVID-19. This is a 16-year-old boy. How much do you think that boy weighs?
In all reality, I would say over 300 pounds. At least.
Look at his ears. So that's basically when I see that. Yeah, I see that, and I see this company CNN that claims to be against systemic racism. I see this as the foundation of systemic racism. You're telling all black people that this is a healthy version of you. This is fucking nuts. This is not a healthy version of any human being. You see it right there,
man.
Yeah, there's hundreds of these, Dalton.
Yeah.
From these people. Look at it's called CNN Health.
Yeah,
this is maddening. This is abuse.
Poof. Yeah. Of
this
yes,
is
I agree.
Like this is the company that says misinformation. This is worse than misinformation. This is like I mean it's just
it breaks my heart, man.
I'm not even
really
smart.
does.
Do you know what I mean? I just see it and I'm not even smart. I just know how the brain works. I know that someone's like, oh, I'm skinnier than that. And so I must be healthy. I mean, it's just, how old are you now?
I'm 28. I turned 29 in May. Yeah.
I remember when I was your age, I'm 49 now. When I was your age, I was doing this. I think it was about your age. For 3 months, I chased tornadoes in Tornado Alley.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, basically between Bullock, Texas, all the way up to the Canadian border. We just drove around in there, chasing tornadoes for the History Channel.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, yeah.
I was a camera guy, and I had coming from California. I'd never seen the South. That whole corridor is full of buffets. And we don't have buffets like that in California. And I'd never seen 300 and 400 pound people. And you'd go into these places and they'd be full of 300 and 400 pound people. And we didn't have. And now California, of course, we have them. They're everywhere. But it's a
yeah, it's a
huge problem, man.
It's an issue. It's an issue. It really is. And that's what's bad. And a lot of people they want to acknowledge that it's an issue because no one wants to talk about it.
Is it because they can't think? Like, do you think more clearly now? Tell me, is there anything specific you can think of where the brain fog is gone, or like you see things like this article from CNN and you're like, what the fuck?
Oh no, 1,000%. Because like for me, it's funny you say brain fog because my brain fog was I dealt more for like depression and mental health and things like that. That's where my brain fog, I can't talk. Brain fog went away. Is when I started making the changes and being more healthy. I realized and again, it's science, the endorphins behind working out, that saved my life. It really did. The Andy Frisella's 75 hard working out, doing the twice a day is what got me to initially start working out. I did it for 33 days and I failed after falling asleep on accident. It slept through my alarms.
I saw that post.
Yeah.
By the way, great post. Fucking brilliant post.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's a great post to take responsibility for it. Yeah, accountability is huge.
But I ended up failing, and I was like, I'm going to do this again. But then after about 5 days, I realized I was like, maybe because I got what I wanted from 75 hard. I got the mental toughness and that grit and like the determination. I found that in 75 hard, and I really did. And I think if I hadn't, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. But I took the 2 days that it was doing it, and I realized I was exhausted because I was at the time I was eating way less than what I should have been because I thought that's what I had to do. So stupid. But anyways, I was trying to undereat, trying to still work out twice a day while doing everything while working. And I realized that if I could work out in the morning and work out in the afternoon, man, I was causing myself to be way more productive at work. I was in a better mood. To me, everything was clear. I could respond faster. It was like 2 + 2 = 4 faster than it did when I wasn't doing that things. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just like I could think better. And then fast forward to now where I ended up adapting from 75 hard into a plan where now I was working out twice a day. It depends on my coach. He doesn't really like me to work out twice a day right now. He's wanting me to slow down. Um, but I'm realizing, man, it's the endorphins from that has been life changing in itself. And I wish I'd have known that years ago. I wish could have. I now see the how when people say, "Oh man, I love working out. Like working out's great. Like I'm addicted to it." I don't know if I'm so much addicted to just, doing this all day, but I'm addicted to the feeling after of feeling like I just went in there and I bettered myself for an hour.
Yeah, double. Yeah, it's so good.
It's a win.
So good on
And
both
if I can do
levels.
that
Yeah.
twice a day, oh my goodness, man, I'm on top of the world. I can take on anybody. So,
So you work out and you get the endorphin rush. Obviously, you get into your body and your brain stops. But then also when you're done, it's a big check off to like, fuck, I made my the to-do list. Like,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do
And I look
and
forward to
you
it.
sweat 7 days a week?
I do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yesterday
kind
was
of a must,
as
right?
they say, off day, but like I still went to the gym at like 11, or no, 10, I think, 10 or 11, just to get some like, basic core and cardio in. It's just a way to like get your day started, clear your head and relax. I like to put my music in and just kind of like, it may be weird, but I call it put my work in or put my dues in. And
Yeah.
man, I look forward to it every day. So.
How about walking?
Yeah, I love walking around. That was actually how it started, was in my neighborhood. I was so self-conscious going to the gym, even
Mhm.
after losing 250 pounds, man. I've got loose skin hanging everywhere. So, and at the time, I didn't want to go to the gym and see all that flapping around. And so I was in my head then. But I started working out here at the house, walking around the neighborhood and, working out. And finally, one day I was like, okay, I'm going to overcome everything I can. I'm just going to take my shirt off in my neighborhood. These people have seen me with my shirt off before. Let's do it. So I took my shirt off and I was like, okay, I'm gonna walk around the neighborhood. I'm gonna try to put in a mile or two while on lunch and do that. So then I started trying to aim for 2 miles a day on lunch. In that little 30-minute time frame, going walking around the neighborhood, taking my shirt off, and yeah, man, I felt amazing. And then it just transpired into me like working out and my like because again I was doing the inside and the outside. So my outside was my walk and jog and doing like a little like
Because
high
that's the
intensity training.
75 hard thing, right? Inside and outside. Okay.
Yeah. And then like inside, I didn't have weights and stuff when I first started. And I remember like going around the house, I was like, what's some heavy household items that I can lift really quick? Because weights are kind of pricey. They're like 30, $40 for like
Yeah.
10-pound, 50-pound dumbbells. I was like, I'm not, what if I don't stick with it? That's already my mindset. I'm already thinking about how I'm going to fail. So I was like, well, let me start out with something here. So I went and my parents had bowling balls, like two 16-pound bowling balls.
Yeah.
Man,
Cool.
they're under my bed to this day. I went and grabbed them and was on the side of my bed, like doing this, and then doing this with the other arm, and then realizing, okay, I figure out I got to do tricep that way with a bowling ball. And so I started doing these little exercises in my house and like getting used to it. And I was like, okay, well, I'll be damned. Maybe I'm not out of the ringer. Okay, maybe I can do this in the gym. Maybe everyone's not going to stare at me. So I remember going to the gym and I tried for a little while, didn't really like it with a friend or two, and
You didn't really like it.
but
What? Say that again.
I didn't really like it with like going with a friend or two at the time that I was trying to go with. It was just a rush, and we'd get there and just do cardio, and at the time, man, I'd be like dead, and I will say that did get me into a love early for cardio because I do love cardio now. It's weird, but um, I think during that time frame, that is what really got me to push towards 75 hard. And then when 75 hard happened, I started doing the inside weights and doing more of that. And then after 75 hard, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym. So I already had a Planet Fitness membership, but I just never went to it. But my buddy Austin was like, "Man, I'll teach you some things." Him and a friend Tyler, they ended up like teaching me a few things in the gym. It's like, "Hey, we have a chest day, and then we have a back." I had no clue what that was at the time. I didn't know what chest and triceps meant, or like, we're doing a push day or a pull. I had nothing. I had no clue. I was an
Awesome.
idiot.
So they're just schooling you up good.
Yeah, man, they
It
helped me
sounds
out and
so
got me in
fun and
there.
so good. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been amazing.
How about a pull up? Do you have any desire to do a pull up?
I do. And I've got my first pull up. It was assisted. It wasn't assisted, but hell, man, that's more than I could do before.
Awesome.
But we now do pull-ups. I try to do like on back day, we do 4 sets of like 6 to 8 on pull-ups on the assisted machine. So
Awesome. You know, one of the
yeah.
things, when I was a kid, I used to, the boys would do pull-ups for the presidential, and I would do
Mhm.
what the girls did because I couldn't do one. I'd have to do like the what's that called?
Oh yeah.
Steady arm hang or something, which is crazy because now I'm in the CrossFit community and all the girls could do more pull-ups than the boys. But you know, I got my first pull-up on I think I was in college, and I think my buddy and I were high on ecstasy, and he was like a bodybuilder. He was all juiced up on roids and shit, and like he was into meth and roids.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't do, I just smoked a little weed and drank beer. But we were in the backyard, and I think it was like one of the first times I'd ever done ecstasy. And we're in the backyard, and he goes, "Hey, dude, it's not a fucking pull up." And we were on a branch, and I was trying to do a pull up, and I go, "What
Yeah.
is it?" And he put his hands under my armpits and squeezed my lats. And he says, "See these muscles right here?" I'm like, "Kinda." He's like, "You have to contract those, and then you go up. Your hands are just so you don't fall to the ground. So just contract those muscles, and it worked." Oh, of course, it's high as fuck, but and so I could really focus, right? Because I was on MDMA, but it was crazy. And I was like, "Oh, it's a total misnomer to call this thing a pull up. It's a back contraction, and then you go up." So I don't know if that helps you, but someone could
I will
squeeze
remember
under
that.
your
So
lats there, or
squeeze the
you can
lat.
even squeeze your own
Okay.
first to kind of like be like, okay, that's the muscle right there, you know? And then I started just doing lots of negatives. Once I was warm, I would just jump up to a top of a pull-up bar like this, and then, like and I would just lower myself slowly, or I would start here.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then just lower myself. And that's how all the strongest, later on, I found out from a mentor of mine, Greg Glassman, that's how all the strongest gymnasts in the world, that's how you learn the iron cross.
Really?
You don't go here. You start here and then slowly let out and then fall through. Yeah. I mean, be warm first, or else something will fucking snap. But anyway, I just thought I'd share.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so, and once I
Okay.
could do pull-ups and muscle-ups, I started getting that in my 30s. The whole world changed. The landscape changed. Fences were no longer fences. They were things to go over. I mean, it was just nuts. Though my whole perspective of the world.
That's so cool, man. I can't wait. I want to be able to go over a fence like that, and I know that sounds crazy. That's 2 things I'm looking forward to: is A, climbing a fence, and weird, but B, climbing a tree. In my entire life, I've never climbed a tree.
Yes. So I didn't climb. So it's funny you say that. Until that guy showed me that on ecstasy, I used to play a lot of Frisbee. And if the Frisbee went in the tree, it was always some other, and I was 20 years old. I was in college, and it would be some other kid who would climb the tree. And once I started getting a little confidence in my grip and shit, I'd be like, "I'll go get the Frisbee.
Yeah,
I'll get that shit. I'll
see.
Maybe some girl will think I'm cool." Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What is this surgery here?
Sure. Yeah.
This one is. Do you care if I flip through these pictures?
Not at all. Please do. That is a paniculectomy. So after I lost 250 pounds, through that, they actually cut that off. So that's all loose skin that was hanging over my front midsection, or my crotch area. So as you can see, that's the doctor pulling the skin away. I actually had to beg him to do that. But
yeah,
all
that's
that.
Are you conscious there? You're awake there?
I'm asleep. No, I'm completely out. Yeah. But in this right here, I don't know if you can see, but there's only one scar going across, like right above my crotch.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, like you had a C-section or something.
Yeah, literally. That's kind of what I had. But so they should have went and cut all the way up my stomach and did an abdominoplasty and tightened up that muscle and all that skin, and they didn't.
Why not?
That's a question I have still been trying to get the answer to. So
this is 7 pounds of skin they cut off.
Yeah. Yep. 7 pounds, and I still have roughly 20 to 25 pounds of skin remaining. So,
you had to beg them to do this. He didn't want to do that.
He didn't know, man. My doctor at the time, and
why not? I mean, I kind of get it, but why not? It's so powerful.
It really was. And that, man, I saw it on a video before, and I was like, please, this is all I want. Like, you won't let, like, at the time, I now realize why he didn't want to be sued for what he was doing. But, like, the whole initial visit, like, he was giving me, and I'm going to put this in parentheses, a discount, because it wasn't much of a discount at all. I, in all reality, paid full price for what I got. it was like basically 10 grand for a paniculectomy to be cut from hip bone to hip bone that should have had muscle repair and abdominoplasty included in. At the time I asked him, I was like, hey man, can I bring like, one of my boys, he was in the media and filming and things like that. And he's like, dude, I'm willing to take a work day off. I'll come film the whole thing. And so like there's a video, like one of my first TikToks of me at the doctor, and they're talking about like what to expect. And he's no shit, like hiding in the corner with like a camera like this, just like in his pocket, like trying to record because they wouldn't let him in. For HIPAA and all that stuff, which I found out later it had nothing to do with HIPAA at all. As long as I'm not like divulging. Yeah, they just didn't want to be recorded, but
they don't want to get sued. I think you nailed it. Yep.
I woke up, they just didn't want to get sued. I woke up 2 weeks later, I ended up going in, they unwrapped me, and I found out that like none of that was done, and I was bummed. And so we don't go back to that plastic surgeon, but I do have some really good info for this year. I plan on getting 3 more surgeries done this year with a plastic surgeon that's confident that he can fix everything that the other doctor kind of messed up. So it's going to be really good. I'm super excited. I'm hoping to do that after my bodybuilding show. So when I'll be at my least amount of body fat, then he can just go in and trim the skin and pull it real tight, and hopefully I can have a speedy recovery. So
it's cool that you're so transparent. It's very cool, and it's very cool that you show your failures too, like with the 75 hard. I like having you on because I am so in my head against the surgery, and you're helping me with that. Like you're giving me therapy on that, because the goal is to give people an avenue, and it's not that surgery in general, it's just doctors in general. I think they're compromised because of big pharma, because of surgery. I think so many doctors are compromised. Don't get me wrong, there's some fucking amazing doctors out there. And for people like you, or someone who gets hit by a car, you get shot by a bullet, but like these but I just feel like the vast majority of doctors, especially if they're not taking personal responsibility, if they're not going to the gym, if they're not studying nutrition, then
why would they push that on others?
Yeah, and they're blind. They think like type 2 diabetes, when they treat you for that, they're basically docents to walk you to your grave. The service they have is to walk you to your grave, when they really should say, hey motherfucker, stop eating Snicker bars. Not here's your insulin. And it sucks because they're teaching you how to they're teaching you how to live with it as opposed to cure it. And I just think that's I think did you ever have type 2 diabetes?
I didn't, but it's so funny that you brought up that my grandfather has diabetes. And when I want to say, I'll probably butcher the age here, but I was like in between 12 and like 14 timeframe. I went to a program that was called Physicians Weight Loss. And in the United States, you're not allowed, like it was for a minor back then on a weight loss program. They weren't allowed to like have me as a client. They weren't not approved to do so. So what they end up doing, because they're like, man, your health's already so bad at like 14 years old, 13, whatever. I was so big back then that my grandfather was like, well, listen, why don't we sign your grandfather up and he will be our patient. You just come with your grandfather each time and we'll do everything on you too. And so like, no shit, man. I remember getting like.
Nope. Still can't hear you. Not a big deal though. Better?
Did I lose you?
Yep. You're back. Okay, so you went with your grandfather.
You sound like a chipmunk right now on mine.
If it keeps being bad, you can just hang up and hit the link again and come back in if you want.
Yeah, let me try doing that. Give me just a second. I'm so sorry. 1 second.
No, not an issue at all. My fucking show. We do it my way. Did doctors or professionals recommend or prescribe that fitness needs to be a part of your routine post surgery? You know what? Great question. I just made the assumption that yes. But that's silly to make that assumption. We'll ask him that here in a minute.
So sorry about that. My bad.
No, not okay.
I got one of those spam calls came through.
Not a problem.
I lost.
Okay, so you were with your grandfather went to this program that was for adults, but he just signed up for it so you could tag along.
Exactly. Yeah. So my grandfather, and I'll never forget it, man. I felt like, And yeah, he could lose a little weight. Like I think he was in like a size 42 waist, and like in all reality, he should have been like a 36. So I just remember those numbers because I remember like I was like in a 48 and trying to get lower at the time, and so we were competing. And man, I remember like him. It's kind of funny because we're going through this together, and all reality, I look back on it and I just realized like, man, this man loved me to death because like in
Yeah.
all reality, he did not have to do that shit. Like he caused himself to go on this plan just to make me go on the plan to try to like kickstart it. But you were talking about the diabetes, and I watched him literally like his like diabetes was going down drastically. Like he was able to start maintaining his sugar levels based off of him losing weight at the time, and he lost like 30-40 pounds.
Yeah.
It was a great program, but anyways, I say all that. So it's funny that you mentioned that like weight correlates to diabetes and things, because it can definitely directly correlate and cause those diabetes and other issues to slowly come back up. So I never
Yeah.
had
No
anything
one in this
fitness.
country should
So
have type 2 diabetes. It's
nice.
a I think it's like, and same with diet. That's another thing that's just fascinating to me. All these numbers around COVID. Here's another crazy one. I think there's 600,000 people on dialysis. I'd say at least 500,000 of them are because of lifestyle choices that they've made. At least, I'm being so generous. And once you're on dialysis, you have a 5-year life expectancy. And half the
Yeah.
people who get on dialysis like die in the first 6 months. I mean, it's those people have no chance if they get influenza, COVID, if their granddaughter sneezes on, like it's just.
Yeah, it's so, man, you're hitting all the points. It's so funny you brought up that my ex-wife's mother is she's a dialysis patient, and she's had 3 transplants over the past 30 years. But it's funny because you bring up like the whole like
Is her life
the
miserable? Is her life miserable?
no, she lives a great. Well, I can't speak on her happiness, but I can say like from the outside looking in, she looks happy.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, good.
she's a fighter, man, but like um it's so funny because I see how much she cares about her health. She's very small. She focuses on what she eats.
No
She's
shit.
very healthy. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. She weighs like probably 120 pounds. Like
Then why is
in
she
all
on
reality,
dialysis? What happened? What caused her to get on dialysis?
kidney failure. It shut down like like 30 years ago, man. Like literally 30 years ago, her kidneys shut down completely, and they couldn't like I don't know the technical term, revive them. I guess I don't know, but they put her on dialysis, and then they put her on the transplant list, and then like it just like she would get a transplant, her body would fight it off, it would not be successful. So then they do it again. And then like, 10 years down the road, I don't know the exact
Damn.
years amount of time, but she ended up having 3 transplants, and they all 3 failed. That
Is
her
she
body
alive
couldn't go
now?
all through. She is, yeah, she's still alive, kicking. She's an amazing, strong, powerful woman. But yeah, so I see what you're saying though. A lot of the dialysis patients, they are, they again bigger, and they all of that adds. It's a compound. If you have
Yes.
one thing wrong with you, you take another thing wrong with you, and then you add on the small things like what you're eating, what you're drinking, what you're recreationally doing. All that adds in, and like it's a combination or like a mathematical equation, and it can either be very good or very bad. So it just depends on how you put it together.
What else is interesting is I'm pretty sure dialysis is an environmental just fucking disaster, and yet no one talks
Yeah,
about that. I mean, I think I think they consume. I think dialysis just requires so much water. I think it's
it
it's
does.
like
Yeah.
absolutely nuts. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's a I feel so sorry for her, like, it's such a,
and she's surrounded
process
by.
to go through,
Right, and
so
imagine this, like, so she sounds like she's one that, like, needs it, but I bet you
mhm.
like, I hear people who are in dialysis centers, and they're sitting in there, and they're like, and there's someone in there just, like, getting their blood changed, and they're drinking a 42 ounce of super big gulp of Coke, and I think that's the norm, and it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, and
Oh.
see, that's the thing, man, like, I mean, what is the point of like, what is the actual point of dialysis? Is to flush the toxins out because you can't pee, right? So, like,
Yes.
if you know that, like, why are you gonna keep why would you put stuff in your system that you're not able to actually flush? Like, at least you and I, we can pee, we can flush, like,
Right.
that's the thing. But like, those patients, but like, they can't, and so they just hold it and hold it and hold it, and then they have to go get it released and flushed out of their system. So to me, like, if I knew I was fighting dialysis, I would think that I would not be
You'd
wanting to drink a
hope.
Coke or anything. Yeah, man, I'd try to like keep it as clear and pure as possible. But I say that, but then look at me. I was 500 pounds and it didn't, prevent me from putting my fork down. So
Right.
I don't know. I think it all goes back to the original thing of what's your mindset, what's your determination behind it, and you control you. It's you versus you at the end of the day.
Did you ever just think you were just gonna die?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah, yeah. I'd already signed off on being dead by 30 and being completely okay with it.
Yeah, that seems to be pretty normal. I've interviewed, I don't know, 100 people now who've lost over 100 pounds. I feel like, and man, that's just it's so scary.
Yeah.
But what a once you've gone there and come back like you have, man, your life is the richest it's ever been, right?
Oh yeah, man, I've never been happier. And and I was telling her the other day, I was like, yeah, right now, yeah, I'm stressed with this cut and everything. It's hard doing a cut and trying to get all the food in and do that. It's been hard, but man, I'm still happy. At the end of the day, I'm happy. I'm here,
You're
which I
living.
shouldn't be. I'm living. I got a second chance at life, which a lot of people don't get, and
Yeah.
I'm forever and eternally grateful for that. And that's why I want to be able to help so many others. Ow, I just hit myself in the eye with my cord. Oh, that hurt. But yeah, no, I want to tell as many people as I can, about how surgery saved my life. And, to a lot of people, me and my brother just made up. I don't know if and I'm sure now I can say this because we're now close again and um, our relationship's fixed, but, um, I'll never forget, I don't know if you saw my post about the whole cheater thing and me just going on an absolute rampage, me going off screaming basically on TikTok and Instagram about being called a cheater. I was for my brother. My brother called me one day. He was like, you cheated. You cheated. Yeah, you lost weight, but you cheated. And so it's always been this real personal thing for me when someone struggles to understand the reasoning behind why someone gets surgery in the first place. And so I didn't know at the time when I got surgery that I had a food addiction. I didn't realize that I was turning to food as my crutch. I had no idea that I was literally relating everything that I do in my day to day, just living. I was relating it to food, and I'm sure you can attest to this because think about it. When you watch TV,
I smoke
what
cigarettes. Nicotine's the same thing. It becomes a coping mechanism for everything. Someone cuts you off, you put a chew in. Your girlfriend's upset at you, you put a chew in. You have to go pick your kids up from school, you put a chew in. You want to read a book, you put a chew in. Next thing you know, it's it goes with everything. Nicotine is, I totally know, dude. I totally know.
So the way that happens for you is same for food. So, and that's why at that point, man, I'm so addicted to it. And I couldn't even realize that because I had this fucked up view of food for so long that if it wasn't for surgery, I'd be dead. And so I finally yelled at my brother. I said, Cody, you can't be mad at, you can't call me a cheater. We're not playing a game. This is my life. I have literally prolonged my life and you'll have your brother longer because I decided to have someone cut me open to help me lose weight. I don't see how I'm cheating. And that's when I finally, and I use the example, I have never heard someone yell at someone for going into rehab for having a drug problem or being addicted to drugs or anything like that.
You cheated to get off the heroin.
You cheated. You went to rehab. Bro. If you call, oh my God. So I was so by you calling someone a cheater who's addicted to food, who took the last fucking route they could to better themselves, and you're going to to me, that's the same fucking thing as me going to a rehab center. As someone graduates and being you're a cheater. You cheated.
Yeah.
No, you bettered yourself. You took control of your life at the lowest fucking point in your life. When at that point it's either death or
that's how bad shit was, bro, that I did the surgery. Man. Yes. I checked myself in rehab. Let's look up the definition of the word cheater, just real
let's do it.
Quick here, just for shits and giggles. Let's see what cheater means. One who violates rules dishonestly. Well, you didn't violate any rules, exactly, and you were absolutely not dishonest at it. So basically, people who say it's cheating, it's a defense mechanism on their part.
It is.
Is your brother overweight?
He's not, and that
Oh,
I think that's why he and it's so funny, man,
well,
because
then maybe
now
it's just
we
too
we
intimate
have
for
such
him,
a
and so
good
he had to
relationship.
do that. So yeah, go on. Sorry, say
Yeah.
that again.
No, you're fine. He was always fit. He was always the older brother. He's 10 years older than me, and like at like 21, he's over there benching like 400 pounds. Just a big
Oh yeah,
muscular
that
dude.
guy. Yeah.
And so here's me at 21, weighing 400 pounds. So he at the time I was like but I talked to him, and now we've polished our relationship. He's actually like he I don't say got bigger, but he just like maybe gained like 30 pounds in the last like 2 or 3 years of just being happy, living life, whatever. But it's so great because he called me. He's like, "Hey man, like, and he's never done this in our 25 years. But he's like, "Hey man, I'm proud of you. Like I see you're busting your ass. I'm proud of you. And because of that, I'm gonna make a change." So like he started working out, and like he started like
Awesome.
watching what he eats, and walking around the neighborhood, and like man, that can make me cry at the end of the day. Like at the end of the day, I just wanted to impact people with my journey and like tell my story, and I ended up being able to like impact my brother. Like that's emotional in itself. Someone that we had fought and been head against each other the entire time through surgery and like everything, like, and now we're close, and now he's hopefully going to start working out with me eventually. We'll see. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed on that one. But
Yeah.
oh man, I'm
Does he
just
live
happy
near
that he
you?
started. He does. He's like 10 minutes away. So, but he's just constantly busy with work and businesses and things like that. So, but like I told him, he's got to make time for what's important. So,
Hey,
and
were you ever into hard candy? Did you ever get like just a huge bag of just like hard now and laters or those butterscotch things, and you just have them in your car, and you'd always just have a hard candy in your mouth or blow pops?
um, I wasn't too big on candy, man. Mine was like just like sweet tea and drink. That's why you hit the
Okay.
nail on the head earlier when you're
Okay.
like sugars.
Soda.
Man, soda was my biggest downfall. Like I wasn't addicted to chocolate or like candy or anything like that. Mine was soda and like cookies, or like soda and like meat, man. I could eat some food. Just like give me a cheeseburger and I could put three of them down. You want nuggets? Give me 50. I'll put them down with no issue. And then I look back now and I'm like, damn, I couldn't put five down. I'm wanting to throw up now. So
Yeah. Man, it's
it's
amazing.
amazing.
Hey, when you this guy Todd asked basically, let me see, did doctors or professionals recommend or prescribe fitness needs to be a part of the new routine? So is there a whole program you go through that's like building up to this? Like, hey, after this, you're gonna have to
Yeah.
drink celery through a straw. We need you to walk at least 2 miles a day. You should get a heart rate monitor and get your heart rate up to 80% max at least 6 times a week. Was there a whole like, hey, here's your shit? And is that overwhelming? Is that overwhelming?
It is. They sit you down, and I'll be honest with you, they try to scare the absolute shit out of you, which is good.
Oh,
And I was
okay.
I was joking about that with a few of the people on like the bariatric pages. There's a whole community, man, on Facebook about it. Thank God I joined the community like early and learned, but um, man, hearing like the way like some of these doctors teach some of these newer people is insane. I had to follow a plan for 6 months. Like I said, I had to meet my TSH levels. I had to, verify about my sleep apnea. I had to, attempt to lose weight for 6 months on my own. And then also at that point, like show that I am, attempting to do it before I go into surgery. Afterwards, then they give you like this maintenance plan, kind of like a I say maintenance, but again, I do the air quotes very sparingly because it wasn't much of a maintenance plan. It's just like for the first 2 months after surgery, they kind of like, okay, for the first like 3 weeks, we're going to be on like liquids and then like soft foods. And then after that, for another 3 weeks, then we'll do like, cut up foods, and then very, very, very soft foods. And then we'll go into hard foods eventually. So stuff like that, like, and they tell you can't drink out of a straw, you want to avoid exercise for like the first 3 months, and then you can start if you want to. The biggest thing they tell you is
What do you mean if
always
you? What do
start.
you mean if you want to?
Well, because in a lot of times, and that's why I think mine is a little bit different than a lot of people's story, is because a lot of people are happy with losing the initial weight. If you follow what they tell you in that first 3 or 4 months, you're going to lose weight. It's going to fall off because you're in such a deficit, a calorie deficit at the beginning.
Right. Right.
So If you follow that, you're good. Like 6 months
Do you have a
in,
message for those people? Like I'm thinking like, hey, they got it
I
wrong
do.
there, people. Like, you better fucking exercise. Like, shut the fuck up. That's wrong. Like,
I mean, they
like,
don't
do you
tell you
think
don't
that
have
anyone
to.
should not exercise? Like, I can't get I'm getting all pumped up about this.
No,
like,
the
I
only
think
time I'd
everyone
say
should exercise. Every fucking person, everyone.
yes, and you should. It's just at the beginning, man. It's so difficult to, and
Right.
that's the
Okay.
only thing.
I get it. I get it. Yeah.
It's
My wife had twins and she didn't move for 3 months. She just breastfed. I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah.
totally get it. But like, if you,
It's
it's
harder for
inexcusable
patients
to
in the
Uber
beginning,
0.1 mile. It's inexcusable.
right?
Even in a
No,
fucking
no, no. It's true.
downpour rain, that's when you look up to the heaven. You say thank you for the opportunity to walk in a downpour rain.
Yeah,
It's
I should have been.
inexcusable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's that wake up time.
Yeah.
But no, in the beginning, when you are the biggest weight, and at that time, I always tell people like, if you can work out, great, please do. It just helps you. It's not going to hurt you. At the same time, though, if they are a month or 2 months out, they can't drink water like we can. And
Yeah.
at 500 pounds, man, if I just got up and went to the fridge, I'm breaking a sweat.
Yeah.
So if I'm on the treadmill going through and dropping as much sweat as I did back then, I mean, hell, even now I drench my entire outfit at the gym.
Yeah.
But I'm drinking a gallon and a half a day. Back then, I'm not. I was just I wasn't drinking hardly 50 ounces at the beginning after surgery, and even that, man, I don't know if you saw my Instagram, but if you pull back like the first, I think maybe first or second photo, you can see me drinking out of a medicine cup my water, and I had like a giant thing like this on the side where I just constantly fill up my medicine cup and would sip water every 15 minutes to try to hit my water intake. And that again, that's part of the process of what they tell you to plan for after surgery. Make sure you hit your water intake, make sure you hit your proteins. Those are your two biggest things that they kind of just cram down your throat. But I wish I would have started working out more. I wish I would have just took the initiative 6 months out instead of waiting as long as I did. I'm glad that I waited as long as I did, because now I don't say it's easier, but I'm able to see more. I
I
don't say
see what you're saying.
progression, but I can see more things happening on me. And because of that, man, it's like someone's lighting a little match underneath my ass to make me keep going. I want to see the next result. And but at the same time, I'm also happy where I'm at. I love the process. Like, if I didn't lose another pound, I'm happy, man. I'm in a better place than I've ever been in my entire life. I can go out and change a tire. I can literally, I don't have to think about, am I going to be able to fit in that booth at the restaurant? Oh shit, is the handicap stall open? Because if not, I can't shit in the bathroom. It's things like that. Like,
Damn.
it's like you think I'm kidding, man, but that's what we call a non-scale victory, NSV, because those are the non-scale victories that doctors don't talk about. But you do get them. I can tie my shoe in public.
You can sit in a chair without worrying about it breaking.
Dude, I broke my work chair. Literally going just like this at work. I leaned back and it snapped, and it sounded like a gunshot went off. And I'll never forget it. I put in a request and I was like, "Hey, I'm over 515 pounds, and this is a small chair. Can I get a bigger chair?" And they're like, "They don't make them, man. This brand that the company that we partner with." And I mean, I work for a Fortune 500 company, so I mean the resources were there. It's just like they don't actually make the chair for the company, so it's like, bro, you got to do something. What are you going to do? Just keep breaking chairs every 3 months? So
I have a friend who's a
like
cardiologist, and he was telling me about how they have to make all the machines now. Everything has to be bigger and more robust because everyone's getting so huge. And he told me he'll go like, he'll look at like 10 patients a day for fucking 3 months before he sees one patient who's not 30 years complicit in their demise. Meaning, like, patient after, he said it's all their fault.
Yeah.
They eat like shit. They don't move. They smoke cigarettes. They drink alcohol. They drink soda. It's crazy. I'm like, really? You'll see 10 patients a day for fucking 90 days. And then finally you'll see one where it's like something like,
wow.
What? He's like, yeah, it's nuts.
That blows my mind.
There's something really, everything you're doing is fucking amazing. I fucking love you to death. I think your contribution to humanity is like, we need you.
Thank you so much.
There's this really sad part that, when you get in a car accident and you bend the frame of the car and they say it's totaled, you bent the rig. And so you did that to your body.
Mm-hmm.
You bent the frame, and now you're doing everything you can to get it back. I think about all these kids out there. And I think like that thing you did with your grandfather, this is not a dig at your grandfather. Did that really help or did that make it worse? What can we tell there's kids out there who 12 years old who've done already millions of them who've done irreparable damage to their rig. They've bent their frame already. And I'm just thinking to myself, no, like we have to catch them so they don't have to do what Dalton Musselwhite. Did I pronounce your last name right? Musselwhite?
You did. Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
what a great name, by the way. Dalton Musselwhite.
Thank you. I appreciate
what
that.
can we tell these kids? What can we tell their parents so that we can catch it before the rig is damaged? Because the rig, it's just fucked. It made, I'm sure it made your first 25 years 20 years fucking miserable.
Yeah, and that's something everyone's like, well, man, do you wish you could go back? Yeah, I do. I wish I could go back and catch myself at 10 years old and be like, wake the fuck up, stop it, but I didn't,
Right.
And because of that, I now I love that. Again, you and the examples are excellent. The whole bent frame thing, that's so true. Like, now I'm spending the next 5 years straightening it out. Like, I've got 2 torn rotator cuffs. I've got, herniated disc in my lower back. I've got bone spurs in my back and shoulders. And it's all because of the way I treated my body before. And so now I'm pulling that frame, trying to straighten out that frame. If I had to give advice to parents, is stop enabling. Sometimes it takes the person to be the parent instead of being the friend. And sometimes but at the same time, also, like, you can't expect a parent to teach their kids how to eat when the parent is not eating healthy themselves. Like, how do you tell, that's the pot calling the kettle black at the old saying. How do you teach someone when you're eating like shit, when you go to your 9 to 5 and you're stopping in the morning at Starbucks and you're getting your Trenta drink, and then you go, to Whataburger or, Burger King to get your croissant, lunch is at fast food. And then at night you don't have time. So you're cooking like Hamburger Helper or again, maybe you're going out to eat. How do you do that? How do you then say, well, you know what, Timmy, I understand you. Look, I know you watch Dad eat like shit all day, but here, hey, don't you dare eat that cookie. At that point, I'm gonna call my dad a hypocrite. Like, if I'm Timmy and the 8-year-old, like, no, Dad, like, you're a hypocrite. Like, you change it, and then maybe I'll follow what you're doing. So now, saying all that to say, I see a lot of my a few of my friends that have families already. I don't have kids. I'm no kids yet, but I see
you're too young. You're too young. You're too young. I didn't have kids till I was in my 40s. You're too young. Party on, son. Yeah, party on. No rush.
I see the difference between the families of parents that are fit and are mindful of what they do and they work out. I see the way that they treat their kids and the way that their kids react to the meals compared to families that are like, oh man, I feed my kids whatever. They can go in the pantry and get whatever they want. I see the difference in the way the family looks like in a healthy way, if that makes sense. Like, I guarantee you, if we had to ask anybody, if we took 2 families and compared the parents of one and the parents of the other, and we did a comparison between the parents that ate like shit, didn't do whatever, and then the parents that consciously watched what they ate, drank, not doing all that shit, and then took the kids of those 2 parents, and if they're the same age, and sent them out to PE and just did like you said, the president's test, I guarantee you the parents that are conscious of the way they eat and think and act around their kids and what their kids eat, yeah, man, it's night and day. I guarantee those kids are going to outperform the other ones. It's because what they're putting in their body. Are they putting all that processed sugar in their body? No. The parents that are watching their kids cram fruit snacks down their throat by the dozen, that's not helping them. It's not. I remember. I tell you what, and this will also kind of tell you the way that parents have an impact on what you eat or drink. For 18 years, I wasn't allowed to have whole milk because it was Dalton.
Oh, me neither. Me neither. It's bad for you.
Extra fat. It's extra fat. You can't have it, man. It's so fattening. Dude, if I heard that one time, I heard it a million times.
Yes.
And I was so mad.
Do you remember that non-fat blue shit? You'd pour it in your cereal and you're like, is this white milk or blue milk? You know, that tint of blue to it?
Exactly. Yeah. So, man, I remember at 18, I moved out and I was like, oh my God, I've got adult money. The first thing I went and bought for my apartment was a gallon of whole milk. Why? I don't know. It's just dumb. But it was like,
Rebel,
so
you're a fucking
because
rebel.
18 years of being told I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, now, so again, it's all there's leaning ways, you know. Parents are damned if you do and damned if you don't. It's all learning curve. But I say, if you just talk to your kids, man, talk to them, let them know, like, hey, this is bad for you. Don't do it in a place of like beating over the back. You're like, hey, this is me coming from love. Like, hey, you know, you're 12 years old. Is that the best thing that you want to put in your system? Why don't we, you know, think about maybe adding this instead? I don't think that's rude. I don't think that's going like into their private space and, you know, going to kill them in 20 years of, oh, my dad told me to eat an egg instead of a cookie. It's not going to be anything like that. But I think, you know, it may be that jump starting conversation that's like, oh, you're right. I am 12-year old and I have a gut. Like, I am 40 pounds bigger than everybody else in my grade all of a sudden. Why is that? You know, maybe it's the conversation that people need to have instead of waiting until someone's morbidly obese to have the conversation.
Or go out and do something with your kid. Like, why the fuck are you at home watching the fucking Raiders game with your kid? Go to the fucking park with them.
Take them to the game, you know?
Yeah, right.
Walk around, like, go to the park, do something. Like, if you're that young, do it, man. Like, have fun with your kids. Live life with them.
I'm fascinated by my I have a really bad potty mouth in front of my kids. Like, I'll say anything in front of my kids. Like anything. Like anything.
Yeah.
And but there's things that and my friends, and I have friends who don't like their kids around me because of my potty mouth, and yet they'll buy their kids ice cream like every day, or they'll bring their kids home bags of Reese's peanut butter cups, or another thing, like I don't let my kids do, like I don't let my kids use the word like disgusting or boring.
Okay.
Like if they saw a cockroach and my kids said it was disgusting, I'd be like, what are you talking about? That, well, look at the beautiful brown hues on that, and look at the shit, look at its exterior,
that's
its
cool
exoskeleton, and like it's just lazy dumb shit talk. It's disgusting. No, you're disgusting. Or if they use the word boring. I don't even know what that means. Show me boring. You know, like I would rather my kid be like, that fucking bug is brilliant. Did you see when he jumped from the wall from there? That's fucking brilliant. I would love that.
Yeah.
I'm not telling him no. I'm like, awesome. What good job, you used fucking appropriately. And don't use it when your grandmother's here. She doesn't like that. It's so nuts. Go, yeah. It's so people are on such autopilot. They're so confused. You feed your kid poison, but you let him use words disgusting to describe one of nature's miracles, the cockroach. I don't even.
Whole different scales of the earth. Yeah, I completely.
Yeah. Don't close your world. Open your world.
Yeah.
Open your 100%. World. Open your world. What? So you'll do this competition. Do you have daily anxiety about the old Dalton coming back? Does the old Dalton have a name? Does this guy, is he dead? Like, what? How do you think about that guy? Or is it all same one? I don't mean to project schizophrenia onto you, but is there you know?
So I refer to him as my old self, or like him. I know, like in a lot of my videos, you'll see me be like, you know, I wish I could have told him that, because he was a different person than I am now, a whole different person. When I've changed, and someone asks, you know,
when my wife's PMSing, I call it her, and I know when she's gone. Like it's just like a big cloud leaves her out. I'm like, holy fuck, she's gone, and my wife like, yeah, she's gone. But I'm still a little scared. I'm a little damaged. Sorry. Okay. So him. Sorry, him. You have a him. Yeah. I got a her. She comes around once a month. Man, she is fucking gnarly. I'm in big trouble.
Yeah, she's gonna get you for that one.
Yeah.
No. So mine is when, like, you know, body dysmorphia is a big thing.
And what is that? And what is that?
Yeah. So body dysmorphia is, so for example, like I'm looking into the camera right now and I see 213-pound Dalton. But sometimes I'll look in.
That's what you weigh now? 213?
213, yeah. 213.
Damn, you're a boss. Damn.
Trying to go lower, trying to maintain muscle, still go lower. But when, like, man, like when I look in the mirror, you know, there's days where I'm like, whew, I still see Big Dalton looking back at me, you know, there he is looking back. And it's like, no, fuck that. I'm not going back. I'm hitting my goals. I'm hitting my dreams. I've got aspirations. Fuck this. We're hitting it. So, and you know, like, people are like, well, you kind of changed. You damn right I changed. You please give me that compliment again. Tell me I've changed, because I have. Like, I've changed everything about me, and I don't want to be referred to as old Dalton, the Dalton that didn't care and didn't, good time, happy go lucky, let's go drink and
Did you
eat
think
and
about
party.
changing
And
your name? Did you ever think about that?
I did. I thought
Oh.
about it.
I just
But
made that up. That's awesome.
I did, man. But I was, for a lot of things, I just didn't like the name Dalton. Also, my mom gave it to me because
Oh,
she liked
it's a
Patrick
nice
Swayze's
name,
ass.
dude.
But
It's a
yeah,
nice name.
did you ever see the movie
There's a
Roadhouse?
UFC fighter I have on the show. Yeah. And there's a UFC fighter I have on the show regularly named Dalton Rasta. No, he's a
Okay,
Bellator
yeah.
fighter. 185
Oh, very
pounds.
cool.
He's 6-0. You should look him
Cool.
up. He's
Okay,
so
I will, yeah.
awesome. And I think
All right,
the
cool.
guy's so sexy, and his name's Dalton. So I just attribute with the sexy guy.
Well, I appreciate that. I need
Yeah.
that. I need to
like
start
that
attributing
name.
that. So
It's
yeah,
badass.
man.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So him,
No,
body dysmorphia.
yeah.
Dysmorphobia is a mental disorder characterized by obsessive idea that some aspect of your own body part or appearance is severely flawed. Yeah, I have that too.
Yeah, a lot
I
of
think
people
my
do, and
dick
they
is
don't
way
realize
too
it.
big for my body. If the flaw is actual, its importance is severely exaggerated. Okay. So meaning that, okay, I see. Yeah. I mean, we all kind of have that, right? To some level,
We
the
do.
mirror, right?
The mirror shows your biggest flaws that you see,
Yeah. Like when I'm 20 feet away from the mirror, I'm like, I'm not so bad. But when I put my glasses on and get 5 feet away, I'm like, you're fucking disgusting. It's weird.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's body dysmorphia. Looking in, I made a TikTok about it, and it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I bust my ass every day, but then like I take my shirt off, and again, mine has a lot to do with loose skin, so that's why I'm constantly fighting my body dysmorphia, because I can't see a lot of, like, now I'm starting to see it because I'm at such a low weight that I've ever been, but like I constantly fall back into that mindset of like, damn, like I can't see anything. Like, yeah, I do 100 sit-ups a day, but I still can't see abs,
Right.
or
Right.
things like that. So it gets in my head, but I just have to hush it down and realize, like, again, you're not old Dalton. He's never coming back. You've got this whole new life ahead of you. Hit the ground running.
Is there anything you miss?
Is there anything I miss? No. And like, in all reality of my old being, like, maybe like some of the friends that I had back then, I'm like, maybe some of the opportunities, I wish I could go back now and relive them as being smaller. I feel like they could have had a way bigger or different outcome, but for the most part, no. There's nothing that I miss about being 500 pounds. There's
Nothing.
nothing that I miss at all.
Is it harder being 500 pounds than it is doing the work to keep the weight off?
Yes.
So you've made the right
Yes.
decision. That's
Oh yeah.
crazy, isn't that?
Yeah. It's so much easier than being 500 pounds, man. Like, if I have to work out, and I'll say this in all reality, if I had to work out 5 hours a day to just guarantee me that I would never go back, I would do it 100%, because that's how bad I realized how miserable I was. Like, how much I was looking forward to dying, how much I was not wanting to wake up every morning.
Yeah.
People think, oh, well, I mean, it's not that big. It can't be that big of a deal being overweight. Like, it's just being fat, right? No, man, there's some mental side behind it that you never would think is going through a fat person's head. Like, for example, we'd have a work potluck, right? We've got enough food to feed 100 people. And I personally would always wait till I was like the last person to go, because I didn't want people to look at me going in the line. They knew I'm going to eat. We all know that Dalton's going to eat. Now, really, why the fuck am I waiting till I'm the last person to go? Small things like that. Ready? Everyone else, people that are the size of toothpicks, getting second plates. Am I going to get a second plate? I'm hungry enough to eat the whole fucking table.
You
but I'm
can't
not
even
gonna get
enjoy
up
the moment because you're like a drug addict just surrounded by piles of heroin.
Yeah, man. Like, and
You
and
can't
I
even
was at
enjoy
500 pounds that
yeah.
way. So like,
Yeah.
it was this whole twisted mentality of just like, everyone's looking at me being 500 pounds. They're going to judge me if I eat more. Well, Dalton, like I wish I could have like just tapped myself on the shoulder and be like, dumbass, they already know you're fat. Just like, either eat or make a change. Like, don't make yourself even more internally miserable by thinking what others are thinking, and then
Right.
like projecting that on yourself. Just either like eat it or get the hell out, like type thing, you know? It's small things like that people would never think is a big deal, but like now thinking it like I don't like walking in front of people. Walking into the gym every day for me in front of people, I get in my head so much, and to the point where now I won't even walk into the gym until I have my headphones in, and I'm normally like I walk straight to the locker room, normally just to pee or like get ready, tighten my shorts, and then I'm like it's like something clicks and I'm the only one there.
Why now? Why now?
Just I think it's because I'm so in my head about being in front of people and like what they'll think. Like even like the way I am now, like it's something that I again, this is me being 100% transparent. I
Yeah,
still fight
please.
with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still fight with it to a day.
Do you
And
drink
I think maybe
alcohol?
I don't right now. I have in the past. I did for a while, but I'm not drinking any alcohol right now on the cut.
And do you smoke
So
weed?
I do. I smoke weed. I hope my job doesn't fire me for saying that. So, but yeah, I have my medicinal card in the state of Florida. So,
Wouldn't like I can't smoke weed like that. My brain gets so fucking noisy. I haven't smoked weed like in 30 years. Like I used to love it. I used to smoke it every single day, and then my brain's just too noisy. Like I can't do, not even in a bad way, but like that's what it sounds like to me. I used to have 3 Great Danes, and if I would get stoned, I wouldn't want to go out because I wouldn't want people talking to me. I would get overstimulated. So that's what it seems to me. Like if I couldn't smoke, I couldn't smoke weed and go to the gym because my voice would be too loud. Like, is that person looking at me? Holy shit, that chick's boobs are falling out. Oh my God, look at that guy's butt, how hard it looks. Like I would be just too much. I would be overwhelmed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that.
Maybe you
It's
just
funny
need
you
to not
mentioned
smoke weed ever.
I mean, that could potentially be it. I know for me, so I was on depression medication and I ended up changing to medicinal marijuana here in the state of Florida. And like for me, what I'll normally do is when I get there, like when I go into the bathroom and pee, normally at that point, like I'm in my head walking in, but I have like, well, I don't have it with me right now, but normally in my hydro drug, I carry like my little pin just as a way to relax. And no shit, I'll go in the bathroom, take one little like puff of it, and I'm good. And at that
Oh,
point, man, no shit, I'll do like 3 or 4 miles on the treadmill. I'm good. Like bike, dude, no lie.
kind of
Like
the
it's just like
opposite for you. Gets you focused. Okay.
I focus in, and I'm the only person in the room at that point. So it's weird. I don't know why, but I love it. It lets me take all my anxiety out, and I'm like, okay, it's showtime now. I can put in the work like I want to. So
Yeah, you don't seem like you smoke weed either. So proceed. You know
well,
what I
thank you.
mean? You know that type, like you
Yeah.
have big, open, wide eyes. You don't slur. You're not. How does a 500-pound dude get into? This is like one of my good friends calling me right now. You should be listening to the podcast, asshole, supporting me. How does a 500-pound dude get into a car like this?
Man, I had to
It's
take a
so
run and jump.
slammed. It's so slammed already.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so that's actually I used to be really, really, really big into cars. That was kind of like my outlet to escape as well as food. So, and I think that's honestly why I did put on a lot of weight is because like after all my car events and stuff, man, what did we do? We all go sit at a restaurant and eat and talk about cars. But that was my little car that I used to win. Yeah, it was on full air, so it'd like air up for me to get in and out of it.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Man, if I had to get out of that at 500 pounds, bro, no, it was not happening. No, no.
Okay. So there it's like so when you turn it on, it would go psh, and it would come up a little bit.
Yeah, in fact, like for me on that car, because I was so big, man, I was so like out of shape. I actually paid a little bit extra money to have the Bluetooth version put on my phone. So like when I'm walking to my car, I could press a button on my phone and it would air up so then I could get in it.
Wow.
So yeah,
Do you
it
still
was a
have
show
that
car back
car?
then. I don't know. I wish. Yeah, it was a fun time, but yeah, I ended up getting rid of it and moving on from it. So good times.
Yeah. Well, Dalton, I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good for me to talk to you. I come from this hyper, fitness community. I love weight loss stories. I absolutely do not think just surgery in general just scares the shit out of me, right? I definitely 100%, and I'm glad you know it too. It's not cheating,
No.
absolutely, but just whatever. it's a big decision. And I think
It
you
is,
shared that really well in your life, even up to the moment of you getting it. Like, you applied for it, you did the journey up to it. And then when they told you they're ready, you were like, holy fuck. So I appreciate you
yeah,
sharing all that.
absolutely.
And I'll have you in my Google alerts, and I'll be following you. And I can't wait to see you in
Sweet.
your competition. I'm
Awesome.
really excited for you. You think you'd
Thank
ever do
you. I'm so
steroids? You
excited.
think you'd ever get all juiced up?
That's funny you asked that. I thought about it, and hear me out. The reason why was to get rid of all my loose skin on my arms.
Yeah.
However, I was talking to a plastic surgeon, and he's like, "Man, we could take care of that in my office for close to very little." He's like, "So all in fact, because like most people cut from their elbow down to their shoulder, and tighten all that up. I'm not. Mine will be like that long right there, and so it'll tighten all. Because when I put my arms down by my side, I have a bunch of loose skin right here from my chest and arms, so it just looks kind of bad. So
And I'm
he's like,
guessing
"Man,
it's
we could fix
uncomfortable
that."
too.
So,
I'm guessing it's uncomfortable too.
oh yeah. The loose skin's awful, man. Like, running. A lot of people's like, "Well, why don't you wear, the
Like a
I can't
girdle
even
or
think of the
something to
word.
hold you
Yeah,
in. Yeah.
girdles
Yeah.
or, all that." And like I wear my undershorts for compression for like, my manhood. But other than that, I'm not wearing this shit. Like my skin's gonna bounce, let it flap. I'm already over it at this point. Like if you want to watch it flap, let it flap. There's a million people online that's already seen my skin flap. So I don't give a shit if the person next to me in the gym is looking at my skin flap at this point. So now I don't wear compression. Now I wear my t-shirt, my shorts, I wear my undershorts for compression for my, like if I'm doing squats and all that, but so I'll let it flap.
Are you cool with people reaching out to you with questions and social media,
Oh
and
yeah.
you open all that?
Please
Okay.
do.
Okay.
Yeah. Please, if you have questions or anything, I'm open. If you have questions about surgery or like if you want to know if it's right for you or anything like that, or it's like if you're on the edge or if you're just thinking about starting your like weight loss journey in itself and have questions, please feel free to hit me up. I will try to give you as much knowledge as I personally have, and if I don't know the answer, we'll try to find it for you. So,
Awesome.
but
Dude,
yeah,
thank you so much for your time. This was cool.
thank you so much for having me, man.